Hello everyone, I'm Joel Jensen sitting here in the beautiful Union Station, and joining us is Kansas Senator Julia Lynn. Thank you for being with us.
Oh, thank you for inviting me.
You have said that this upcoming session is pivotal. Tell us why.
Well, we have an opportunity in 2012 to redefine the scope, purpose, and cost of government to our taxpayers. And one of the things that we are really concentrating on is how do we reform what we're currently doing, and are those reforms tied to a measurable outcome? In other words, you don't want to just spend taxpayer money to spend it because you have it. You want to make sure that those dollars are being used efficiently and that they have a positive, ongoing outcome.
And Kansas in particular has two really hot-button issues, financial issues. That's CAPERS for the Kansas retirement, and then education, and particularly how are we going to change perhaps the funding legislation there. And then if you want to throw in a third thing, you have the prospect of redistricting.
Yes. Yeah, we have a lot of things that are kind of bundled into a big opportunity, and you've named a couple of them. And let me just address education funding for a second. You know, we have had a funding formula that's been in place for over 20 years that is not working. And because of financial constraints, we now realize we need to do some things differently. And I understand that our governor is putting together some reform packages to address that. And one of the, I think that is a good idea, is to give school districts a block grant and allow those local districts to decide how they want that taxpayer money spent.
That's interesting.
Yes.
All right.
So it kind of takes the state away from a lot of the micromanagement of our local school districts.
Besides education, then, what will be your legislative priority?
Well, I'm looking at autism legislation right now. We have tried to get a bill passed that insurance companies would cover children with autism. And actually, we have shown that it proves that it's going to save our state money instead of cost our state money. The other thing I'm looking at is Medicaid reform. We have about 25% of the people that are receiving Medicaid in Kansas are receiving 70% of the funds. And Jeff Collier, our Lieutenant Governor, has put out a great proposal, and some of that involves privatizing those taxpayer dollars so that we can eliminate some of the layers of bureaucracy that actually costs taxpayers money and actually takes away from those recipients that would need those funds.
And you in your private life have worked in the healthcare industry, so you have some different insight that should be helpful to you whenever you're looking critically at these pieces of legislation.
And absolutely, and things have changed over a number of years, and with Obamacare, the possibility of coming down the pike, that's only going to add to our costs. So we need to make sure that when we are budgeting this year, that we take into account those rising costs in Medicaid and also in CAPERS, but not put a lot of pressure on our school districts so that we can still maintain the high quality of education we have now.
We have a little less than a minute. What else would you like to tell your constituents?
Well, I'd like to tell them that although we are in the process of redistricting, and that's based on the 2010 census, and some districts are going to get bigger and some will get smaller. In Johnson County, we're looking at 3 new representatives and 1 new Senate seat, and that process tends to be a little bit testy and it can be a little bit uncomfortable, but we'll get through it. Most people don't know that the bill needs to be voted on in the House and the Senate and finally approved by the governor. And then in addition, we're all up for re-election in 2012. Right. So you can see some of those politics playing out already.
All right. Well, we sure are very pleased to have you with us, and it's been a pleasure.
Well, it's been a pleasure.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. All right. That's all the time we have for this edition of Newsmakers.